So many of us are out here living lives for other people, and that includes the version of ourselves that no longer exists. So, how do we stop doing that? Let's talk about it here. Imagine working toward a goal for 8 years or so. Your head's down, you're grinding. Pretty much everything you're living for is reaching this one goal, achieving this one thing. And then you get there and you don't even recognize yourself. Not only do you not recognize yourself, you realize that you're not even sure you want the thing you spent all that time working for. And I think this is more common than we talk about. And it can look like a lot of different things and show up in a lot of different ways. So, for example, let's say you finally finish your degree. And instead of feeling done, you feel this pull towards another degree. Or you stay the course in the field that doesn't quite feel right anymore, and you just tell yourself that you'll figure it out. Or let's say you get to the goal and it doesn't land the way that you thought it would, so you just set a new goal, hoping that the next milestone is the one that's going to finally click and everything just falls into place for you. And somewhere in all of that, you get this sense that life is, that the life you're living is not really yours. Like maybe you're living for that earlier version of yourself who made a plan and you're just the person who showed up to carry it out. And there's probably some sunk cost fallacy happening here, right? So we've put in all this work to get to the place that we're at or to do the things that we're trying to do. And even if we've changed our mind, we don't want to lose the time that we put in or the money that we put in to this thing. So here's what I don't think this is. Some people could say this is a confidence problem or a gratitude issue or maybe imposter syndrome, maybe a mix of all the things. I don't think it's that you don't have expectations or that you have expectations that are too high, I don't think that it's that you have expectations that are too high. I think it's something simpler and maybe even more difficult. It's that there's this gap between the version of who you were when you set the goal and the version of who you actually are when you arrive into the place. Earlier, I gave an example of like 8 years' time dedicated to a singular goal. 8 years is a long time. And I don't know too many people who are the same person they were 8 years ago. For me personally, this has showed up in a couple of different ways. Before I figured out that there are things I could do to mitigate that, prevent it from happening. So the first was that I would just decide on a thing, and because I'm ambitious and I like to get things done, I would rush toward it and I would just make it happen. I would lock in and then I'd get there and realize that the goal didn't light me up the way that I thought it would. And then the second way I tried to handle this was like an overcorrection. I'd get so scared of repeating that first thing, losing time, losing money, that I didn't do anything. I would just get stuck in this loop, endless loop of trying to figure out, is this the right choice? Am I making the right call? Am I following the right path? And I would be stuck for years in the same place, treading water, trying to figure it out. And what I do now is, it's less dramatic than either of those two extremes. I'm trying to find my way to a happy medium, middle ground. And I think to get more candid about my own story, the reason I ended up needing a system that would help me move out of this is that, I was stuck in what I think is a very age-old conflict. I was stuck between following my dreams and my desires, which at that time was to be an artist, to be a creative person. Or it was to move towards stability. And, I did the math. I looked at the ROI, work-life balance, control over my own schedule, earning potential. And both of the top options, the second one which is a field a role in the healthcare field. They both have their pros and cons, but I took the path that to me gave me the more stability, and the stable path felt like the wiser call, the best choice. And I'm not saying it was the wrong call. I think it made sense for the person that I was at that time. But I'm sitting here now and I'm having arrived at what I've built toward, and I'm extremely proud of it. And I'm also asking myself different questions. Like, not whether or not it was the right call. Like, that's done. I've already made this decision. I'm at where I am. But I'm asking now whether this is still the road I want to be on. And I'm measuring it up against the values of who I am today, not against the values of the person who made it eight years ago. And so, as I was saying, to make this process a little less dramatic so that I'm catching myself if I'm making decisions to continue down a path that no longer suits me versus being stuck in like a analysis paralysis, is that I check in with myself. It's pretty simple, but every 6 months, I check in with myself. And I don't want to be doing it more than that. Like, more than that, I feel like it's going to lead down that road of like analysis paralysis. But like a really simple check-in, I sit down with myself. I set aside an hour on my calendar. I put it in there and I stop and I ask, are the goals that I've been working towards goals that I still want to achieve? Like, does the direction I'm moving in still fit who I am right now? Are my values the same? And it's a small thing, but I promise you it's been keeping me from just keeping my head down and throwing all of my energy towards this goal that I arbitrarily set for myself and then didn't check in until the goal was done. It's keeping me accountable for who I am and keeping me in touch with who I am on a daily basis. Well, maybe not daily, but, every 6 months. But yes, I'm not spending years in circles, going in circles. So I just wanted to say, like, if you're in a place like that where you've looked up and you've realized that life, your life isn't the one you thought you'd be living, or the one that you've planned for, and find yourself maybe not as happy with it, or it just doesn't quite fit right. I'm not going to tell you to just go ahead and blow up your life. Don't do that. Well, it's your life. It's your call. You do what you will. But I do think checking in periodically and getting honest with yourself about whether you're still moving in the right direction and letting yourself adjust your plan from there, I think that's incredibly important. We only have this one life, guaranteed anyway. And yeah. For me, I think it's worth it to be checking in to see if I'm living it to the, let's say the best of my ability, but living a life that's aligned with who I actually am. And I think spending a lot of time on a chapter that no longer fits you is okay because it's part of the story. And, you want to give yourself permission to be able to make changes and decisions that better suit you. Because, I don't think the goal is wrong necessarily. I don't want to say we shouldn't be setting goals. You can live your life without goals too. That works. But the goal itself isn't wrong. It's that the version of who you are is we evolve all the time. We can transform at any moment, and I think that by not staying in touch with who we are as we're living our life means that we'll miss it when we've changed and the life that we live doesn't fit. And it gets harder and harder to make changes as we get more and more settled into life, as the routine of our life. So yes, that's all I have to say on that. But yeah, I'm curious, has this happened to you before? Like, you've gotten to a finish line, hit a milestone, completed something big, and the person standing there at the end isn't the person who started, and that these two versions of that person want different things. I'd love to hear about it. Drop your story in the comments. And thanks for listening.